If you think you've heard every insane combat story from World War II, this one is about to punch straight through that belief. A lone American paratrooper, surrounded, disarmed men on their knees, 90 enemy soldiers rearmed and ready to execute. A submachine gun shoved into his stomach, and instead of begging, he laughed. Less than a minute later, 21 Germans were dead. The rest were surrendering, and history had just recorded one of the most unbelievable reversals of fate in World War II. Welcome back to Hidden Histories WWII. This is the story they never taught you in school. The moment everything went wrong. January 29th, 1945, Holzheim, Belgium. Snow everywhere. Bitter cold. The Battle of the Bulge is burning out, but men are still dying every hour. American paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne have just taken this small village house by house. Hard fighting, frozen fingers, smoke still hanging in the streets. They've captured around 80 German soldiers, disarmed them, herded them into a farmhouse yard. Only 4 Americans can be spared to guard them. That's how thin the lines are. Minutes later, a German patrol in white camouflage slips in through the chaos. They overpower the guards, free the prisoners, rifles are pulled from a pile, magazines slammed home. An officer starts organizing them fast. Machine guns here, rifles there. They're about to hit the Americans from behind. A perfect trap. That's when an American sergeant walks around the corner. Leonard Funk. He stops cold. 90 armed Germans, 4 of his men on their knees. A German officer strides forward and jams an MP-40 into Funk's stomach, screaming orders he doesn't understand. The math is simple. He is dead. Leonard Funk wasn't new to hell. He'd jumped into Normandy on D-Day, scattered miles from his unit, badly injured, then spent days leading lost paratroopers through enemy territory until every man made it back alive. He'd fought in Holland, where he led a 3-man assault on a fortified German anti-aircraft position and silenced the guns shooting Allied gliders out of the sky. He'd seen enough blood for a lifetime, and just weeks earlier, news had ripped through the American lines about Malmedy. American prisoners butchered in a snowy field after they surrendered, shot where they stood, finished off where they fell. Funk made a decision then. He would never surrender. So when that gun hit his stomach, when 90 enemy soldiers waited for him to comply, Leonard Funk didn't raise his hands. He laughed, not a small laugh. He doubled over, shoulders shaking, a full, uncontrollable laugh. The German officer screamed louder. Funk laughed harder. Some of the Germans started laughing too. The moment warped. The tension broke. Confusion spread. This wasn't how prisoners behaved. And in war, confusion kills. Still laughing, Funk slowly reached for his Thompson submachine gun slung across his shoulder. The German officer watched, satisfied. The American was finally surrendering his weapon. Then everything detonated. Funk ripped the Thompson down, snapped it into position, and pulled the trigger. The first burst shredded the officer before he hit the ground. Funk pivoted and kept firing. Close range, automatic fire, snow exploding red. Men dropping where they stood. 30 rounds were gone in seconds. He reloaded. 2 seconds that decide life or death. A fresh magazine slammed home. The bolt racked, and he went right back to work. At the same time, he was screaming at his men, "Grab their weapons! Grab their weapons!" The 4 prisoners lunged for rifles from the dead. Now it wasn't one American, it was 5. The Germans had no leader, no plan, no time. Some fired wildly. One American beside Funk was killed. Bullets cracked past his head. But momentum had already shifted. Less than a minute after the laughter started, 21 Germans were dead. 24 wounded. More than 40 stood shaking with their hands in the air. The hunters had become prisoners again. Funk stood in the snow, smoke rolling from his weapon, surrounded by bodies. The impossible had already happened. Leonard Funk didn't look like a war hero. 5'5", about 140 pounds. Raised in a steel town in Pennsylvania. A quiet man. A clerk before the war. The kind of face you forget in a crowd. He volunteered for the paratroopers when most men wanted safe assignments. He survived training meant to break you. He earned his jump wings and joined a division that specialized in being dropped into chaos. By the time of Holzheim, Funk had already been wounded multiple times. He had already earned some of the highest decorations in the American military, but nothing compared to what he did in that farmhouse yard. For attacking instead of surrendering while outnumbered nearly 90-1, Leonard Funk was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest recognition for valor in World War II. After the war, Funk didn't chase fame. He didn't tour. He didn't write books. He went back to Pennsylvania and took a job helping veterans file claims, paperwork, offices, quiet service, for decades. When people asked him about Holzheim, about the laughing, about the 90 Germans, he brushed it off. Did what I had to do. That was it. No swagger, no speeches, just a man who had already said everything with his actions. Leonard Funk died in 1992. He is buried among the heroes at Arlington, and most people still don't know his name. World War II wasn't won only by generals and grand strategies. It was decided in moments like this, in frozen yards, in confused seconds, in the minds of individuals who refused to behave the way death expected them to. Leonard Funk didn't win because he was bigger. He didn't win because the odds were good. He won because he stayed dangerous when surrender would have been easy, because he kept thinking when everyone else froze, because he turned a laugh into a weapon. This is what Hidden Histories WWII exists for. The stories that don't fit into textbooks. The men who didn't look like legends. The moments where everything should have ended and didn't. If this story hit you, do not let it end here. Subscribe to Hidden Histories WWII. Share this with someone who thinks they've heard every World War II story already. And stay with us, because there are thousands more buried in the shadows. And some of them are even crazier than this. If you're here, it means you're not satisfied with surface-level history. You want the power players, the hidden forces, the minds that shaped the chaos. That's what we do here on Hidden Histories WWII. If this episode gave you value, hit subscribe. Share it with someone who loves real war history. And stay locked in. Because the stories you don't hear in class are usually the ones that mattered most.